Welcome to the Clinical Teacher. I'm going to quickly go through this new product I have. It's a spelling inventory for words their way. It's an automatic assessment tool. It's a way to very quickly mark and efficiently sort your results. Use your results as a diagnostic tool to really differentiate instruction specific to the words their way, word sorts. But generally, it teaches you a lot of really good patterns that you could use if you wanted to use it standalone as well. I do strongly recommend purchasing the books. All that information is on the site, so feel free to look around and let me know if you have any questions. Let's jump right into it here. As always, a warning, please only modify the cells that are highlighted in yellow with a bold box. You'll see that here in the students. Normally, these yellow cells would be blank and you fill them in. This is, of course, a demo, so it's already pre-filled with a ton of information in it. But these would be blank and you would fill those in. If you go in and modify any of the other sections, there's a chance that you might break the tool. So one of the things I always recommend is save a blank version of this document, one that you do not touch, and then save new versions of it as you modify and add data. It's one of the ways that you can make sure that you can always go back to a functioning version of the tool if you need. Okay, so let's have a look here. Once you fill in your student information and the year level, you can jump right into the student information. This is a recording sheet just like you have in any of the other tests. This is a digital one that automatically is built to mark the system for you. There are two ways that you can input this. One, you can use my free student test. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It allows your students to type in here. You could then quickly copy and paste right over into the spelling section here. If you want to do a paper test, that's fine. It just means you quickly type in any of their errors in here. I'll give you an example of what that looks like. If I SWETCH, if I did that, obviously the word would be marked as incorrect. But more importantly, the tool automatically marks the word features. In this case, it is the vowel. And so it marked that word features incorrect and then would migrate that over to the results. I have completed all the students, but once you've completed all the students, there are two sections you can go to review the information. The first is the results by student. This one I use primarily as an overall assessment guide. It helps me to see where my students start and finish the year. I usually give them this test twice a year. And I do this assessment at the beginning and the end, and then I compare these results to see what level my students are at, what percentage they're at, have they progressed, how much progress have they made. I do use the more detailed tool. If you are interested in that, this is the upper only. So if you're only doing the upper level test, this is a good tool for you. If you are interested in doing multiple tests for different students, differentiating for a student to have the elementary test while another one has a primary, or maybe you give them two tests, or maybe you give them all three, then you're going to want to see my more detailed diagnostic tool. That one lets you do lots of crazy things, giving multiple different tests, and then being able to assess the data accordingly. In this case, this is just the upper data result. So for my students, they're in grade 3, as you can see, this would be a very challenging test for them just to take on their own. So I wouldn't have normally given them this. That's why you usually see the pretty low results here. In addition to this results by student, this overall summary, what this tool is really built for is right here. This is a diagnostic portion of the tool. It gives you every error every student makes across the board, but more importantly, it gives you the ability to label and then sort students by groups, by errors, and I'll show you a quick example of that now. I've already assigned my students groups. Normally, you would actually fill this section in, the yellow boxes with a bold border around them, and you would assign the group levels. Now I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little more clearly. So the first thing I'd do, this little triangle box allows me to sort. I always get rid of the blanks. It's a quick and easy way to make sure that I only see the students that actually took the test. If I wanted to look at just group 3, for example, I would deselect all and then just select group 3. This allows me to examine group 3 and just their errors and mistakes on this test, which is the important part for making sure I'm picking the correct word sorts that will really advance this group as a whole. This is where I talk about that whole tools of differentiation. So for this group, you can see what I usually try to track down is hotspots, areas where a lot of students made mistakes. A lot of teachers tend to go where they make their first errors, but really you're only picking up one out of those 3 students that are here. What we want is 2 or 3 of the students really needing that area. So we'd find their hotspots, like for example these areas here, and we'd make sure that we covered those first. So then I would just open up group 3's sort information. I'd say, oh, this might be the first group that I'm in. So whether that was within Word, sort 32, and then you'd put in the date. What that allows you to do is track which sort you've given them, in what order, and it allows you to quickly at a glance see for this group, what have I already covered, what do I need to cover next? So one of the things that this benefits you is it makes sure that you can really keep track of what you're doing. You can really make sure you're targeting the needs of that group and those individual students in real time while you work, and then go back and really see the overall picture of how these students have progressed. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to drop me a line either in YouTube or in my Teachers Pay Teachers site. I love hearing feedback. I love getting information from other teachers. If you found this useful, please do write some comments, especially on the Teachers Pay Teachers site. I'm looking to develop all kinds of tools, so if you have any suggestions, I obsess over data, and I obsess over giving really good tools to teachers that will really make a difference in them being able to focus on the actual act of teaching instead of marking. I hope you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you again here at The Clinical Teacher. Cheers.